Hey everyone, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories that hit close to home. I was typing in the final name on my invite list when a message from Mom popped up. Your sister's big day comes first for the family. We won't be at yours. No excitement, no hesitation, just done. It hit me harder than I thought, like somebody softly shutting a door and turning the key. I didn't push back. I just looked at the flashing cursor, wrote back, "Okay," and shut my computer. 7 days after that, as they got ready for Sophia's wedding, something came out that they never even thought to check on. My own celebration was already going on beneath the olive branches at my personal $6 million estate in Tuscany. And once that picture got out, the quiet from back home spoke volumes. Before I get into the details of how everything played out, smash that like button and leave a comment with the spot you're tuning in from. Because every now and then, the folks who are meant to be there for us just aren't. When folks wonder what it was like growing up in our home, I never know how to begin. On the surface, we seemed flawless. Holiday cards with coordinated outfits, grins big enough to fool anybody into thinking we were tight-knit. But stare a bit longer and you'd spot the trend. Each tale, each party always circled right back to my little sister, Sophia. She was the center of everything. I was the low-key backdrop, holding it all steady. I figured it was standard how Mom's face would brighten whenever Sophia walked in. How Dad boasted about her ballet awards at every meal. When I came home with awards from the Invention Expo or perfect report cards, they'd give a quick nod and switch topics. Mom would toss out lines like, "You're fortunate, Emily." Stuff just flows naturally for your sister. That term fortunate always hurt. It erased every minute I'd put in. There's a scrapbook tucked away in my parents' den that lays it all out clearer than words ever could. Sheet after sheet of Sophia spinning in fluffy pink outfits, Sophia making wishes on cakes, Sophia heading to the dance. I show up maybe once or twice, cut off at the side, or facing away. At 16, I came across a shot where I recalled being right next to her, but in the final print, my head was snipped clean off. Mom claimed it was to tidy up the layout. I didn't shed a tear. I just quit hoping to appear in any of them. Grandma Ruth was the sole person who caught on. She'd slide me subtle comforts at holiday meals, bending close to murmur, "No need to fret, darling." Some folks only spot the sparkle. She had this knack for phrasing things that made you feel noticed without spilling your guts. My cousin Megan, as well, she was forever the one stepping up on my birthdays after my parents spaced. But partiality doesn't blow up all at once. It creeps in bit by bit until keeping quiet seems less risky than speaking up. By adulthood, it had turned into its own way of communicating. When Sophia skipped my university commencement, Mom labeled it a minor mix-up. When she took cash and never paid it back, Dad insisted she was still figuring things out. So, when that wedding message arrived, I wasn't surprised. It simply verified what I'd long suspected. I'd passed my entire life as the adaptable one, the person who flexed so everyone else could stay cozy. But that evening, gazing at Mom's note, a change happened inside. This time I stayed firm. I scanned my place, the gentle buzz from the fridge, the aroma of pine-scented candles I'd ignited to settle my nerves. My invites sat stacked tidily on the kitchen counter, everyone penned by hand, closed with shiny wax. I'd pictured them displayed prominently on my parents' refrigerator. Now I envisioned them ignored, pushed aside for Sophia's fancy affair. Still, under the hurt, a weird serenity was building, a soft awareness that this was my shot to quit pleading for a spot at their gathering. 2 days post-message, Sophia rang up acting like all was normal. Her tone was cheerful, sweet, the type she pulled out when she needed a favor. "Isn't it wild?" she asked. "The spot we dreamed of became available at the last second. It's the exact same weekend as yours, but no big deal, yeah? You're out on the West Coast. We're here in Boston. It's meant to be. Meant to be." She dropped that phrase like it was straight from a cheesy movie. For a moment, I was speechless. I just heard the jingle of her jewelry over the line and figured out she was expecting my cheers. "Awesome, Sophia," I replied, keeping it steady. "What luck?" She chuckled. "I figured you'd get it. You've always been so level-headed." Level-headed. That was my scripted part in our family dynamic. Reliable, grown-up, foreseeable. The one they relied on while they catered to her whims. The following night, Mom phoned. Her words had that cautious edge she used when she was set to let me down but hated the guilt. "Honey," she started, regarding the date overlap. "Sophia's partner's relatives can only make that weekend. She's super sensitive lately, and it'd mean the world if you could adjust." Adjust? Yet another label that once described me. I inquired softly, "So, you're asking me to shift my whole wedding?" Mom paused. "We feel it'd simplify things for all. You're so self-sufficient, Emily. You'll see." The twist nearly had me chuckling. Simplify for them. For her. She never once wondered about my costs. "Mom," I stated calmly, "you swore you'd attend." She let out a tired exhale, like I was the difficult one. "It's not picking favorites. It's purely scheduling." That term scheduling struck deep. It was my whole profession, the industry I'd grown a business in. Scheduling involved accuracy, honesty, equity. But in my family's book, it was merely a cover for disloyalty. That same night, I dialed Dad. He picked up with his standard even, no-nonsense vibe. "Emma, you know your sister's tendencies. If we skip, she'll make it personal. You've always been the tough one." I pressed my lip until it bled. "So, it's my role to get it once more." He stayed silent. I ended the call before unleashing words I'd regret. For ages, I sat in the shadows, just the faint fridge drone and the clock pushing beyond midnight. The sparkle from my diamond ring hit the counter's rim, tossing tiny sparkles on the walls, like pieces of something I'd clutched too tightly for too long. That's when it dawned on me. My family wasn't mean in bold, clear strokes. Their tool was exclusion, cutting me from photos, from chats, from top priorities. I'd been taught to read quiet as affection. Not anymore. I shut my computer, pulled up my saved trips, and selected a page I'd bookmarked ages back. A rustic estate in Tuscany encircled by olive orchards. The images shone like a fantasy. Warm rays on clay surfaces. If they wouldn't appear for me, I'd create something impossible to overlook. First thing next day, I reserved a ticket to Italy. No big reveal, no family thread update, no theatrical farewell, just one choice and hush. As the aircraft dropped over Tuscany's slopes, the glow was unique, gentler, nearly kind. I grabbed a compact rental and navigated twisty paths bordered by tall evergreens until I arrived at the estate I'd only viewed online. It was more aged than pictured. Rock barriers in warm tones, wood panels weathered by time, olive branches extending endlessly. The keeper, a senior gent called Mr. Rossi, passed me a bundle of keys and noted in accented English, "This spot awaits someone who truly appreciates it." For the initial time in forever, I felt recognized. Within, the scent was of soil and age, like a home that recalled every word ever spoken inside. As I moved through the spaces, I saw this wasn't merely a building. It was a fresh start, an opportunity to rewrite my tale without others erasing me. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into fixing it up. I brought on area workers who handled each plank and stone like it mattered deeply. The noise of tools and chuckles blended with the buzz of insects. Each dusk, I'd perch on the patio with a journal drawing the yard for the event. One extended rock bench under a cover of climbers, rows of lights dangling above. No kin section, no rank in seats, just space for all who decided to come. The neighbors began dubbing me the silent sibling. I embraced it. My hush wasn't frailty now. It was planning. When I phoned my partner and shared my idea, he didn't doubt. He simply stated, "If this brings you calm, count me in." And for the first instance ever, I trusted it was genuine. 7 days on, I started mailing fresh invites. Not the fancy stamped ones from before, but plain ivory packets with pressed olive foliage, scripted by hand, warm, real. The initial one went to Megan, my cousin who'd never missed my special days. Next to Grandma Ruth, who'd always pierced the family's facades, and gradually, responses trickled in. Megan rang right away. We got the scoop on what went down. Aunt Linda spread that Sophia's bash was the key one. "We're over the act. Forward the info. We're coming." Her words broke midway, not from sorrow but allegiance. By week's close, tickets were secured. Grandma texted, "I've skipped too much true affection already. Tuscany for me, sweetie." The chat they launched named itself the TUSCAN bench. Snaps of travel docs, bags, and happy faces flooded my screen. For the first time, I didn't sense ditched. I sensed selected. And amid the olive branches and the whiff of new paint, I grasped this wasn't payback. It was uncovering. The dawn of the dual events broke under identical rays, two separate scenes miles apart. In Boston, the atmosphere hung thick with moisture and anxiety. The hotel hall sparkled beneath crystal lights, yet a tension lingered that even the flower arranger couldn't mask. Many front seats stayed vacant. Mom lingered near the door in her pale purple gown, beaming overly, acting unaware of the absent known faces. Dad glanced at his timepiece, then device, then entrance once more. "Perhaps planes were late," Mom murmured, her tone fragile, but nobody arrived. Inside, Sophia fiddled with her headpiece again. Her attendants clustered, muttering, "Where's Grandma?" Wasn't she always front and center? Sophia's grin faltered. "She's probably delayed," she claimed, but her pitch wavered. The camera guy shuffled uneasily, rearranging folks to fill the space. "Perhaps shift all ahead," he offered kindly. "Yeah," Sophia replied, faking a giggle, but her fingers shook gripping her flowers. Meanwhile, over the sea, those same beams spilled across Tuscany's undulating landscapes, glinting on gray-green leaves. The estate shimmered like art, rock facades draped in greenery, lights dancing in the wind. The extended bench was arranged under the vine shelter, dotted with flames, untamed blooms, and earthenware dishes crafted by nearby makers. Megan's kids dashed amid the trunks. Alex plucked his strings lightly, trying notes for a romantic tune. Grandma Ruth occupied the prime spot, clutching a fresh-picked olive twig. "A sign of harmony," she explained. I waited indoors, peering through the wide-open entry. My dress wasn't lavish or shiny, just flowing fabric, understated and smooth, grabbing the late-day glow. Maria, the area cook who'd turned buddy, tucked a cluster of olive sprigs in my locks and breathed, for luck and honesty. As I emerged, the gust raised the fabric from my back. The attendees shifted, expressions radiant in the warm hue. Grandma stood initially, gaze sparkling. "Here she comes," she uttered gently. And for the first instance, I trusted it. No band, no planned moves, just Alex's strings, the sway of leaves, and voices of those who'd opted in. As I proceeded down the path, I reflected on every vacant spot that once meant missing out. Birthdays, overlooked achievements, ignored quiets confused for calm. But now, all positions were taken. Every look held steady. The leader, a local pal of Maria's, spoke in lyrical English. "Affection isn't counted by invites sent, but by who arrives." The phrase settled in. When my moment came, I skipped notes. My promises flowed naturally. "To those who arrive," I started, voice firm. "This bond is yours. For believers in me long before I showed my worth. For stayers when it wasn't easy." Megan dabbed her cheeks. Grandma bobbed her head, murmuring, "That's my granddaughter." As it wrapped, claps lifted, not booming, but genuine, vibrant. The yard brimmed with joy and scents of mushroom cream and herbs. Maria's cook space door flung wide, bearing trays of fresh noodles and grilled veggies. The overhead lights twinkled alive as dusk fell purple. It wasn't flawless. It was authentic. Mid-meal, Megan flashed her screen. "It's buzzing already," she noted, partly amused. Pics are flying in kin chats. Flames, the estate, the bench shining under vines, Grandma chuckling with Alex's arm on her. Soon, the shots hit Boston. In the hall, Sophia posed for duo pics when an attendant inhaled sharply, browsing. "Hold on, isn't that our relatives?" "In Italy." "Huh." Sophia scowled, grabbing the device. There was me and my spouse under the Tuscan dusk, lights soft behind, our circle beaming at the bench. Grandma waving her twig. Megan's little one scattering blooms. Sophia stilled. The cameraman paused, dropping his gear. Whispers grew. "Isn't that Aunt Laura and Uncle Tom? Thought they were here." Mom peered over Dad's arm, squinting at the display. What's going on? She breathed. Dad paled. It's Emily's ceremony. Sophia gasped. They chose hers. Mom stayed mute. The hush boomed beyond any shout. Attendees fidgeted. A cough broke it. The musicians continued, aiming to ease the strain, but notes rang empty. When the leader cheered to kin togetherness, glasses stayed down. Back in Tuscany, chuckles waved through the yard as Maria filled cups and declared, Feast, sip, and recall your reason here. Grandma reached over the bench, grasping my palm. I've longed to witness this, Emily, she voiced. This is true kin. Night deepened to amber and indigo. A guest kicked off a mellow track, and folks danced shoeless on the rock. Briefly, I slipped off, heading to the orchard. The breeze carried campfire and floral notes. The estate behind pulsed with energy. My device vibrated on the bench. Texts, missed rings, unheard notes. I ignored. No need. In Boston, Mom's shaky plea left a voicemail. Emily, how could you pull this on us? All are chatting. We seemed idiots. I played it next morn, coffee in hand under the vow tree. Dawn painted the slopes golden. I replayed, then erased. They saw shame as the price. It wasn't. The true outcome was knowing I'd advanced sans they're okay. The images spread web-wide, passed by relatives, reshared by pals. Grandma's twig lift turned the subtle mark of our bond. No words, no reasons, just fact. Years they'd trim me from their shots. Now, I skipped battling for room in theirs. I crafted my own border and packed it with brightness. The week post-events, Tuscany hushed once more. Lights came down. Joy echoed in recall, but the breeze kept the heat of our creation. The extended bench sat bare, dotted with wilted bits and drink marks, evidence of reality. One dawn, stowing final touches, my phone buzzed. Mom, I nearly ignored, but instinct urged, pick up for you, not them. Her tone wobbled, guarded. Emily, do you grasp our humiliation? All at Sophia's event discussed your Italy thing. You painted us cruel. I inhaled deeply, eyeing light creep the tiles. I didn't paint anything, Mom, I said smoothly. I just let folks view reality. Quiet, then a shaky exhale. You've always been distant. We aim for harmony. Before response, Grandma cut in. Linda, stop. Steady yet kind. You demanded this child diminish for your ease. Now she rises, and you label it mean. No, that's liberty. Mom silent. Call faded soft like a gentle close. I went out. Olives rustled in the gust. Maria emerged from cooking, drying hands. All good. I grinned lightly. More than. Quiet in the best sense. She eyed the bench, murmuring, then dine, lady. You've won calm. That dusk. I placed one final dish at the top, the ever-vacant chair. I looped a tiny green tie on it and breathed, for the girl who once waited to be picked. The breeze whispered through climbers, and first time, I felt no overlook. I felt liberated. As sun dipped past slopes, I filled a cup of red and recalled Grandma's wisdom. Bond isn't control, it's appearing. Spot on. No need to scrap for place at another's spread. Craft yours, and the fitting ones will arrive. If this tale resonated, drop your take in comments. Say where you're viewing from. And know, often the softest comeback is serenity. Subscribe for more tales like these.